Welcome to the place Zebulon Pike hung out. That's Pikes Peak, and this is Colorado Springs. Colorado Springs was founded in 1871 by General William Jackson Palmer as a resort town near Pikes Peak. It grew rapidly with the gold rush in nearby Cripple Creek in the 1890s and became a hub for tourism, military installations, and the aerospace industry. Today it's known for its stunning natural scenery, outdoor recreation, and is the home of the United States Air Force Academy. Hey, it's Mark with Any Way You Travel. If you're a first-time viewer, we're glad to have you. If you've watched before, welcome back. We arrived in Colorado Springs in the afternoon, so we were kind of hungry, and just outside the airport was the Airplane Restaurant. And the cool thing is, you get to eat your lunch inside an actual Boeing KC-97. This was a multi-purpose airplane, but mostly it refueled airplanes in the air, and it was used from the 1950s to the 1970s. The hostess gave us a mini tour.
The last man on the moon, Gene Cernan, sat at this booth. This is our Boeing KC-97. It was a refueler airplane, and this will be the plane you'll be sitting on today.
As we headed upstairs to the airplane's fuselage, she showed us where the airman would lay in order to line up the refueling tube to connect to the other plane so that it could be refueled in flight. This could be a pretty dangerous job. Next, we headed up to the cockpit to take a look. Now, I wanted to eat lunch there, but they weren't going to allow that. But it was really cool. Back then, there was a pilot, a co-pilot, and a flight engineer or navigator. There weren't any fancy computers to keep them on course. In fact, it wasn't until the early 80s that most commercial airlines stopped using flight engineers or navigators. This is where the navigator sat.
Here buy some burgers, no onion, no pickle, and only lettuce with pepper jack cheese. Any mayo, mustard, or hot sauce?
Mayo, please.
Mayo. All right, for you.
Mayo?
Mayo. All right, I'll be right back.
We had a couple buffalo burgers and they were pretty doggone good. This is the window through which the guy who refueled the planes looked. His job was to line up this tube with the front fuel receptacle of the other airplane so it could be refueled in flight. It took a steady hand. This is the Garden of the Gods. It got its name in 1859 when two surveyors, Rufus Cable and M.S. Beach, were exploring the area. When they came across the stunning red rock formations, Beach suggested, well, it'd be a great place for a beer garden. And Cable, struck by its beauty and grandeur, said it was a fit place for the gods to assemble. And thus the name Garden of the Gods was born. If you'd like to get some souvenirs or beautiful handmade Native American pottery or other artwork, head to the Garden of the Gods trading post. It was established in the 1900s, and it is an amazing place to just spend some time and do some browsing and shopping. The Garden of the Gods is known for its beautiful hiking trails, rock climbing, but you have to have proper equipment and a permit, and this is a photographer's dream. The Garden of the Gods was formed after millions of years of geological upheaval, and it became a park in 1909 when the former owner of the land wanted to make sure it would always be open to the public so they could enjoy the beauty of the area. There are so many things to do and see at the Garden of the Gods. If you'd like to find out more, we put a link to our video on the Garden of the Gods in the description below. Check it out. This is the Pro-Rodeo Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, it was closed when we came, but we're going to give you a little bit of footage so you know what to look for, and you can check it out when you come to Colorado Springs. The Pro-Rodeo Hall of Fame was established in 1979 and honors the greatest rodeo athletes, including cowboys, livestock, and other notable folks in the sport. It features exhibits on rodeo history, memorabilia, and interactive displays. The museum celebrates the traditions of professional rodeo and its impact on Western culture. Welcome to a city that used to be a city on its own, but now it was swallowed up by another city. Now, Old Town Colorado City is part of Colorado Springs, but It used to be, in the 1800s, the territorial capital for the territory of Colorado. This log cabin was built in 1859 when Colorado City became the first territorial capital of Colorado. It served as a key government building before the capital was moved to Denver in 1861. Today, it's preserved as a state historic site. Old Colorado City also has a lot of great shopping, like the Michael Garman Museum and Gallery. This place is amazing. Michael Garman is known for creating incredibly authentic and detailed scenic miniatures. The museum houses the 3,000 square foot Magic Town. It's a 1/6 scale urban neighborhood. It's incredible. If ghost towns and the Old West are your thing, then you've got to make time to stop by this museum. This is the Ghost Town and Wild West Museum. I'm telling you what, it is really, really cool. It is like going back to the 1800s and hanging out with the wild crowd. This museum is a great place for both young and old to visit. It gives you a chance to take a step back and look at life through the lens of bygone days. And then, of course, you've got to walk and look at yourself in the strange mirror. The museum is usually a lot busier than this, but they were kind enough to let me in after hours so I could get some footage to show you. I'm telling you, the history here is absolutely incredible. The Ghost Town Museum is really, really cool inside. It's just a step back in history. You got to check it out. Our next stop in Old Colorado City, or Colorado Springs, was the Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory. Now, if you have watched any of my videos in the past, you know that I am an absolute chocoholic. I love everything chocolate, and they had some amazing looking chocolates. I'm sitting outside of Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory, and, well, I just couldn't help myself. A dark chocolate almond cluster. And it is delicious, I'm telling you. Nothing better than dark chocolate. Do you like dark chocolate? Let me know in the comments below. Another great place to shop in Colorado Springs' Old City is Velez Gallery. They have a huge selection of Native American artwork, jewelry, baskets, crystals, and so much more, including, well, this interesting young lady. She wasn't much for conversation. If you're getting hungry, check out Mother Muff's Kitchen. Now, this place has a really cool kind of vibe. It's some place where friends and family can get together and enjoy a meal and a drink. So if you're in Old Town, make sure you check it out. When you're in Colorado Springs, you have got to take in Pikes Peak. You start your journey at the Cog Railway Depot in Manitou Springs. Realize parking is limited at the depot and it's $20. However, Manitou Springs offers several free parking lots with complimentary shuttle service to the railway station. Now, this is the Cog train that takes you to the top of the mountain. Underneath the bottom of the engine, there is a round cog that turns like this. Not like this. And it intertwines with the trail that's in the center of the track, and that pulls the train up the mountain. The Manitou and Pikes Peak Cog Railway was established in 1891. It's the highest cog railway in the world. It was built by Zalman G. Simmons, founder of Simmons Beauty Rest Mattress Company, to provide tourists with an easier way to reach the summit. The railway operated for over a century before closing for renovations in 2018 and reopening in 2021 with modernized tracks and trains. Okay, we're starting to get to the top of the summit, and the air is noticeably colder. And so I think these puffer jackets we brought are going to come in handy. Now, I forgot to bring pants, so I'm going to be out there in shorts. As you approach the top of the summit, you'll notice that the terrain changes. As the air gets colder and it becomes less hospitable, you'll notice the greenery isn't there. But once you get to the top, the views are absolutely spectacular. And you know what? It's worth the time, and it's worth putting up with just a little bit of cold. It's scenes like this that inspired the words to the patriotic song, America the Beautiful.
Okay, here we are at the summit of Pikes Peak, over 14,000 feet high. And I gotta tell you, the air here is really thin. You have to take some deep breaths to kind of get yourself acclimated. But the views are absolutely spectacular.
After we took the train down, we headed to another must-see in Colorado Springs.
After the Air Force's establishment as a separate branch of the service in 1947, they needed a place to train their officers. So in 1954, the Air Force Academy was approved, and in 1955, they started training cadets.
There is so much to see and do at the Air Force Academy, but remember, it is an active school.
Okay, just kind of a pro tip for you if you come to the Air Force Academy. It is spread out all over God's green earth. So a great place to start might be the Air Force Academy Visitor Center.
Now, this isn't a typical visitor center as you would think of visitor centers. Instead, it gives you insight into the life of the cadets and what they went through. Year by year, it'll break down what their training was. I found that really interesting. As you venture onto the campus, make sure you don't miss the planetarium. Also, check out Polaris Hall, which is home to the Center for Character and Leadership Development. The building looks like the tail of an airplane.
One of the most iconic features of the United States Air Force Academy is the United States Air Force Academy Cadet Chapel. Now, you may be saying, wait a minute, I've seen the Cadet Chapel and that's not what it looks like. You're right, that's a big white box. Right now, the chapel is undergoing renovations. After all, it's 60 years old, and the renovations won't be finished until 2027. So if you're coming to the Air Force Academy before 2027, well, you're gonna see a big white box. But if you're into big white boxes, according to what I've been told, they're going to sell that big white box after the renovations are finished, and all you need is a mere $17 million, and you can be the owner of a big white box.
We thoroughly enjoyed our visit to the Air Force Academy. Make sure you carve out 2 or 3 hours to visit. But now, well, it was time to get some lunch.
Okay, we're going to be eating at Panino's. It's an Italian restaurant that's been around for 50 years. It's on 8th Street in Colorado Springs. It's over by the Broadmoor Hotel, so we'll let you know what we think.
No one recommended this restaurant to us. We just kind of stumbled on it as we were exploring. And man, am I glad we did.
I got me some chicken gumbo, and it smells delicious.
As we so often do, both of us got the same dish, lasagna.
Very close.
So now tell me a little bit about the lasagna. It's you guys make it here. It's all homemade type
All
thing.
homemade in-house. We use a locally sourced sausage and beef, and so it's been in the family for 50 years. This is our 50th year in town.
We just got done eating at Panino's, and I don't know about you.
Oh, it was delicious. The lasagna was absolutely fabulous.
I mean, we both ended up having lasagna, and it was incredible. Now, I had the gumbo, and she had a salad, and everything was just absolutely delicious. I would stack this lasagna up against any lasagna I have had in Italy. It was really that good.
Earlier, we mentioned the Broadmoor Hotel, so let's check it out. It was founded in 1918 by Spencer Penrose as a luxurious European-style resort. Over the years, it has hosted celebrities, presidents, and dignitaries, becoming a world-class destination known for its elegance, golf courses, and five-star service. It remains one of the most historic and prestigious hotels in the entire United States. Our next stop was one of my favorite, the Western Museum of Mining and Industry. The general manager, Grant Dewey, was a great guy. We were glad to get to meet him.
So this is a steam engine, and it actually has 2 vertical pistons. And honestly, it's a lot like you when you're riding your bicycle. When you pedal, it's going to convert to rotational motion. In this case, if you look back here, you're going to see the belt, which is a lot like the chain on your bike. It's going to run a Thomas Edison dynamo. all of this comes from the late 1800s. And there's some really cool things that happen when you run this. So let's get this going for you. So the job of the steam engine is take the energy out of the steam and make it into motion so you can run other machines like this dynamo here.
Then Grant explained the big steam engine. And I'm telling you, this thing could drive tons of machinery. He took me down into the pit to show me how to fire this thing up. This is the technology that drove the Industrial Revolution of the late 1800s and the early 1900s. Gold was discovered near Colorado Springs in 1859 during the Pikes Peak Gold Rush. It was also found in Cripple Creek in the early 1890s. It was one of the richest gold strikes in U.S. history. This was called a head frame. It was used to lower miners down into and out of the mine. These mines could be 1,000 to 2,500 feet deep. This is the hoist house. It housed the steam engine that would lower supplies and, more importantly, raise buckets of ore up from the mine. They would then be loaded into wooden train cars and taken to the roll crusher that would crush the ore into a finer consistency. This hopper would then be filled with the crushed ore, and it would be lowered onto ore cars that would roll it on into the separating house. It would then come down this platform and fall onto the shakers, where the gold and the silver would be separated out from the other materials. I'd really recommend you visit the Western Museum of Mining and Industry. It is incredibly interesting, and you get a glimpse into the difficult and dangerous life led by miners.
This is the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo. It is the highest elevation zoo in America. It's at 6,714 feet above sea level. It's also known for its huge herd of giraffes, and according to its website, it's the #4 zoo in the country. Let's go check it out.
The Cheyenne Mountain Zoo, founded in 1926 by philanthropist Spencer Penrose, was originally created to house its private exotic animal collection. It grew into a world-class conservation-focused zoo. Today it's famous for its giraffe herd, stunning mountain views, and hands-on wildlife experiences.
Oh no.
These are reticulated giraffe. They come from the Horn of Africa. They're known by their squarish shapes that are pretty much all over their body. It took a while to get a shot of this guy. He was napping and he didn't want to get up and walk around. But finally, he decided to get out and stretch his legs.
And if you get to the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo before 3 o'clock, you can take the ski lift up to the very top of the mountain. Hang out there for a while, and then ride it on back down.
You know, when you think about penguins, you think about them frolicking and having fun.
Everyone's sitting here waiting for the penguins to jump in the water so they can swim and they can get pictures. But so far they've been very non-cooperative.
Next, it was time to see one of my favorite animals.
This is a rope bridge here at the zoo, and you can cross it, and it's kind of fun. Pretty easy to lose your balance, so you better hang on.
This is my buddy, the hippopotamus. Now, I don't know what it is I like so much about hippopotamuses. Maybe because I never got one for Christmas. Maybe because most of the time they hide under the water. But this particular hippo, well, he seemed just a little bit more social. This gorilla seemed totally unimpressed with my presence. However, this gorilla, well, he seemed to take a liking to this young lady. Now, the orangutan was just kind of hanging around in his spare time, but you know what he does for fun? Well, he paints. And this picture is for sale if you'd like to own a picture by an orangutan. One of the most special things about this zoo, outside of the animals, are the spectacular views you get. Because this is an elevated zoo, it's really amazing. We didn't know what this guy was, but he looks kind of like a porcupine. We didn't want to hug him. And of course, goats are always fun. Well, until they find out you don't have any food, and then they say, sayonara, baby.
Okay, we're getting ready to leave the zoo, and I got to tell you, for me,
It was really good. One of the best zoos I've ever been to. But be prepared to walk a lot in up hills.
yeah, it's, being at that elevation, they just kind of keep adding to the elevation. In fact, I think the grizzly bears were about 200-300 feet up higher than when we came in. But at any rate, it is fantastic. I can see why it's rated the number 4 zoo in the country. It is well worth the admission price.
We hope you enjoyed our trip to Colorado Springs. If you did, please hit the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up so it spreads to more travelers, and hit the notification bell so you can travel with us again next time. This is Mark with Any Way You Travel. We'll see you again next week. Take care. Cheers.